myself Dr. M. Laxmidevi, Associate Professor in the Department of CSCDS at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this video lecture, we'll see some of the programs based on break statement, continue and go to statements in C programming language. So these are the programs we are going to see. So first one is program to calculate addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and remainder. And apart from this, we are also going to see find out the larger out of two numbers by using switch statements. So first program is by using switch statement. So this is a menu driven program. So where these are the different options available to the user, and based upon the option selected by the user, the program will perform either addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder, or find out the largest out of two numbers. Next program is to print the even numbers from 1 to 10 using continue statement. Next program is to detect whether the given number is even or odd using Goto statements. So using Goto statements, we are going to see two programs. So these are, first one is to check whether the given number is even or odd, and next one is to find out whether the given year is a leap year or not using Goto statement. Then using continue statements, we are going to see this program to print even numbers. Now let us see the first program. Before seeing the program, so let us see let us revise once again what are these statements and for what purpose do we use. So these are all these statements comes under the term unconditional control structures. So unconditional control structures, these are classified into they have three statements: break statement, continue statement and go to statement. So we use these statements along with inside the loops. So we have seen the concept of loops. So loops are control statements where these loops are used to perform a specific task repeatedly. So in order to break out of the loop or in order to alter the flow of execution of the program, we can use either break statement, all these unconditional control structures like break, continue and go to statement. So let us see the first one, break statement, and how it works. So in any loop, break is used to jump out of the loop, skipping the code below it without caring about the test condition. So it interrupts the flow of the program by breaking the loop and continues the execution of the code which is outside the loop. So the way it functions is, so if in the program we write a break statement along with some conditional expression, then the statements which are written outside after that break statement, they will not be executed and the control is transferred outside the loop. The common use of break statement is in switch case, where it is used to skip the remaining part of the code. So here break is a keyword. So this is the syntax how we use break statement inside any loop. So inside the loops we use this break statement for initialization. After that we have this condition. After that we write the update expression. So inside this for loop, so we can write the break statement along with some conditional expression, along with some if condition. So if and switch these are decision making statements or selection statements, you can say. So inside this we write break statement here. So this loop will go on repeating till the condition is true. So once this condition becomes false, so the statements which are inside the loop, they are no longer executed. But even if the condition is true here, so if this condition becomes true, that is which is written inside this along with a statement, if this condition becomes true, then break statement is executed and the control is transferred outside the loop without executing the statements which are there inside the for loop. So similarly break is used inside while loop as also do while loop also. Next, let us see one program to take input from the user until the user enters 0. So here we have used a while statement. So this condition is true. That means, so this is a program which repeatedly takes input from the user by using scanf function. So it takes an integer value from the user. So this loop is an infinite loop. So there should be some way to get out of the loop. So in some cases, so the condition to get out of the loop is if the value entered by the user is equal to 0, then we have written a break statement here. So if this condition becomes true, then break statement is executed. The control is transferred outside of this loop here. So while loop is terminated. So in this way, we can make use of break statement. So apart from this, we have also seen break statement is also used in switch case statements also. So let us see one program to illustrate the use of break statement in switch case. So program to calculate addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder, and then larger out of two numbers by using switch statements. So here, so the user is having number of choices, like if the user is entering 1 year, so addition will be performed. So these all statements will be displayed to the on the screen. So if the user is entering 2, so 1 stands for addition, and if the user is entering a choice of 2, so subtraction has to be performed. If the user is entering a choice of 3, multiplication is to be performed. 4 is for division, 5 is for remainder, for finding out the remainder, 6 is for finding out the larger out of two numbers. So this is, with the help of this scanf statement, so for this we have declared 4 integer variables A, B and C, A, B, C and CH. All these are integer variables which hold integer values. So here these 1 to 6, so these are the choices. Based upon this, the different corresponding code will be activated. So in order to do that, so we need to enter the number. So that number is read into the variable ch. So it can either take the value from 1 to 6. So 1 is for addition. So you can see here, so these are the different choices, or these are the different options which can be performed. If ch is less than or equal to 6 and ch is greater than 0, so printf, enter the two numbers, scanf, so the two integers A and B. So as you know that all these operations, they are addition is a binary operator, so it required 2 operands, minimum 2 operands are required. So therefore these are the 2 operands or 2 integer values which have been read. So A is one variable, integer variable, B is another integer variable, so into which A and B values are read by using scanf function. Next is we need to use the switch case. So if this ch, the value which is entered by the user, so that is fed into the variable or stored into the variable ch. Suppose ch is equal to, ch is an integer variable, so therefore it can hold integer values only. Suppose the user has entered 1, so ch is equal to 1. So therefore if this value is matching with any of the case labels here, so here we have written different cases to execute the different options. To evaluate the different options. Case 1 is to perform addition, case 2 is to perform subtraction, case 3 is to perform multiplication, case 4 for division, case 5 is for remainder, and so on. 6 is for finding out the larger out of two numbers. So these are the statements inside case 6. And last one also we have default case. If the user is entering any other value other than 1 to 6, so it will print some value, that is invalid choice. Now suppose the user is entering, if any of the value, if this expression, if the ch value is matching with any of the case value, the corresponding cases will be evaluated here. So if ch is equal to 1, so this case is matching here. So case 1, so this one label is matching with this value. So therefore this c is equal to a plus b will be evaluated, and then it will print the addition of the two numbers, the value which is stored in the variable c. So that will be printed on the screen. After that, break statement. So whenever the compiler sees break statement, the control is transferred outside this loop, outside the switch case here. So outside this switch case, return 0 is there. So after that, there are no statements to be evaluated. So it will come out of the program will exit. So these are the two test cases which have been evaluated. So user can enter the values from 1 to 6. So this is one test case, this is another test case. Suppose the user is entering, when we run this program, so this is how you will get the options on the screen. So 1 for addition, 2 is for subtraction, 3 is for multiplication, 4 for division, 5 for remainder, and 6 is for larger out of two numbers. So it will ask the user to enter the choice. Suppose the user is entering 6 here. So in the 6, when it is matching with case label 6 ch value, if the user is entering ch is equal to 6, so it is matching with this label. So therefore it will perform these operations. So if a and b, Then corresponding values A and B has to be entered by the user. So A and B, if A is equal to some 3 and B is equal to 4, so therefore it will print the larger out of two numbers. So it will check the condition if A is greater than B. If 3 is greater than 4, then A will be printed as larger. If B is greater than 3, so B value will be printed. You can see here B is larger than A, that will be printed. So in this case 4 is greater than 3, so therefore this option will be evaluated. So after this condition becomes true, so therefore this will be evaluated, this statement. Then break statement will be encountered. So after that program will exit. So if the user is entering 10, suppose the options which are not there in the list here, so 1 to 6, if the user is not entering any value from 1 to 6, if he is entering 10, then you can see the output of this program is invalid choice. That means this default statement is executed. So in this way we can make use of break statement in switch case to come out of the switch case. Next is continue statements in C language. So similar to break statement, so we can also use continue statement in loop along with some if condition inside the loop. So this is also used to alter the flow of control or flow of execution of the program. So we can use this continue statements in while loop, for loop or do while loop. So when we use this continue statement in any of the loops, so it skips the remaining part of the remaining statements in the body of that loop. So syntax for using continue statement is, suppose we have a for loop here, along with all the expressions we have, this is the body of the for loop. So syntax to use this continue statement is if along with some condition and then continue. So here we have some statements, statement 1, and here we have some statement 2. So for this, whenever this condition becomes true inside the for loop, so when the compiler sees continue statement, so here this statement 2 will not be evaluated, and then control is again transferred to the next iteration of this for loop will be performed. So here it does not come out of the loop, but it skips that particular iteration and also the statements which are followed after the continue statement. So continue statement when encountered doesn't terminate the loop, rather it interrupts a particular iteration. Now let us see the program to print sum of odd numbers between 0 and 10 using continue statement. So this is the program. So inside the main function we have used for loop here. So what we are checking here, so this for loop will iterate from 0 to 10, 0 to 9 it is evaluating. So it is iterating from the value from the value 0 to 9. So if inside this for loop we have taken the condition, if a mod 2 is equal to 0, that means if the number is even, then continue. So after this continue, sum is there. So this statement will not be evaluated if this condition becomes true. Now let us see how this is performing. So for a is equal to 0, so we can also start from 1 here. So 1 to a less than or equal to 10. So if it is starting from 1, so 1 mod 2 is equal to 0. So this condition is not true. So therefore sum will be evaluated. Now sum value is equal to sum plus a. Now initial value of a is equal to 1. So sum is equal to 1 in this iteration. Now next for when a value is incremented by 1. So a is equal to 2 now. So when a is equal to 2, 2 mod 2 is equal to 0. This condition is true. So therefore this sum statement will not be evaluated. Next, when a is equal to 3, 3 mod 2 is equal to 0. This is false. So therefore sum will be evaluated now. Sum is equal to, already sum is having a value of 1. So 1 plus 3 which is equal to 4. Now when a is equal to 4, so 4 mod 2 is equal to 0. This is true. So therefore sum will not be evaluated. Now a is equal to 5. 5 mod 2 is equal to 0. This condition is false. So therefore this sum will be evaluated now. Sum is equal to, already sum is having a value of 4. So 4 plus 5 which is equal to 9. So if you so this program will run for 10 times. So 10 times it will iterate and it will print all the sum of odd numbers from 0 to 10, or you can say from 1 to 10. So 0 is not an odd number. So from 1 to 10, the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7 and then 9. If you get the sum of all this, 16, 16 plus 5 is 21, 21 plus 3 is 24, 1, 25. So output of this program is 25. So in this way, we can make use of continuous statement to write the program. Next one more program we'll see to print even numbers from 1 to 10 using continuous statement. So in the previous program, we have skipped all the even numbers and we have added only the odd numbers only. So now here we'll skip the odd numbers and we'll print only the even numbers. So the condition to check whether the given number is even or not, whether it is odd, and then we can skip that odd number is this one. So if num mod 2 is equal to 1, so 3 is an odd number, 3 mod 2 is equal to 1. So this condition is true. So when this condition is true, this continuous statement will be executed and this statement will not be printed. Next. So therefore, when 4 mod 2 is equal to, so this is not equal to, this is equal to 1. So this condition becomes false. So therefore, this number will be printed. This statement will be executed here. So therefore, it will print all the even numbers from 1 to n. So where n is nothing but the value, the upper limit of n is nothing but, suppose that is user entered value. Suppose n is equal to 8 here. So it will print all the odd numbers from, all the even numbers from 1 to 8. So this, if you run this program and if you give the input as 8, so even numbers from 1 to 8 will be printed here. Next, one more program. So now we'll see the use of Goto statement in C programming. Goto statement is used for unconditional jumping. So generally we can avoid this Goto statement because it involves complexity in the program. So control can be transferred. So because of this, control can be transferred from any part of the program to any other part of the program with the help of Goto statement. So we have seen the syntax for Goto statement. So it is having, Goto is a keyword which is used along with the label. So label is nothing but the name where the control has to be transferred, followed by semicolon. So these are the statements. So after that it can have statements. So this is the label. When the compiler sees this, Goto followed by label name, and control is transferred to where the label has been defined here. So label definition is label name and then followed by colon. After that we write the statements. This is the example of, this is the syntax of forward jump and this is the case of syntax of backward jump. So in backward jump, so Goto label, this is afterwards, and then the label is defined previously, before. So this is backward jump and this one is forward jump. So let us see the program for this. So Goto statement, it requires label to determine where the control has to be transferred and it must end with a colon, and any valid name as label similar to variable name can be used here. So label name can be same as, the rules to be followed for naming a label is same as variable name. When compiler encounters Goto statement with a label name, so it transfers the control to the location where label has been defined in the program. So when Goto statement is used, either some statements are executed repeatedly or some statements are skipped. Now let us see the example program of Goto statement. So this is a function. Here we have declared three variables, float variables, x, y and sum. And this is the label, as you can see according to the syntax. And this is a forward jump. From this syntax you can see here. So this is forward jump where first the keyword Goto is used followed by label name. This is backward jump. This is the case of backward jump where similarly Goto is defined afterwards. The label statements are defined before. So this is the label and this one is the Goto statement. So whenever the compiler sees Goto statement followed by label, control is transferred to the label. So followed by the labeled statements. So whatever the statements are there after the label, those statements will be executed. Now let us see how this program will be executed. So if you run the program, so it will prompt the user to enter the value of x and y. So these two statements will be executed first, and the corresponding values are read into the variable x and y. So these are float values where the user is giving. So x and y values are read into the variable x and y. So if the user is entering value less than or equal to 0, so if this condition becomes true, then this goto statement is executed and control is again transferred here. Again, the value of x and y is read from the user. So you can see the execution here. If the x and y values entered are -1 and -2, so then control is again transferred here. Again, it will prompt the user to enter the value of x and y. Suppose in the next case, the user is entering 0, 0. So so this condition is true for these values of x and y also. So therefore, control is again transferred here. So if this time the user is entering 1 and 3 value, so this condition becomes false. So therefore, this statement will be executed here. So sum will be evaluated. Sum is equal to x plus y. So this statement will be printed. So answer is 4. So in this way, we can say that we can see how a goto statement is performing. Now next program is to detect whether the entered number is even or odd using goto statement. So we can check whether the given number is even or odd using goto statement. So first we have declared a variable x, integer variable, and this value can be taken from the user. So it is x value is read from the user. If x mod 2 is equal to 0, so we know the condition to check whether the given number is even or odd. So if the particular number is, if the remainder of this is equal to 0, the given number is even. So here we have defined the goto keyword is there followed by the label name. The label name is even here. So this is the label definition. So after the even and then followed by colon. So these are the statements which are to be executed. So this statement will be executed if the user enters some even value. If the user gives some even value of x. So that means that corresponding value is an even number. So else this statement, the control is transferred here. Else this statement will be executed. So go to odd. So odd is the label which is defined here. So with this the control is transferred here. So this is the case of forward jump as you can see here. So forward jump means after first goto statement is there followed by label. The label definition is afterwards. So label is defined here afterwards. So therefore this statement will be evaluated. So if we run the program and if you give some odd number here, so x value is 5 now. So if this condition becomes true, so this statement will be evaluated. Control will be transferred here. Else control is transferred here. Now you can see here the statement which is there in this printf statement is the corresponding number is an odd number. So you'll get the output as 5 is an odd number. Next program is to check if the entered year is a leap year or not using goto statement. Now let us see one more program for goto statement to check whether the given year is leap year or not. So in order to check whether the given year is leap year, first we need to enter the year. So that is declared as an integer variable. So it is read, it is initialized at runtime. So this is a condition to check whether the given year is leap year or not. So if the year is divisible by, if the year is divisible by 4 and also the year should not be divisible by 100, and or the other condition is the year should be exactly divisible by 400. That means suppose 1900 divided by 4, and if you get the remainder as 0, so this is a year which is divisible by 100. So therefore this is not a leap year. This is not a leap year. 1900 is not a leap year. So here, if this condition is true, if the entered value, suppose we enter 2016 is a leap year. So if this condition becomes true, so then this statement will be evaluated, go to leap, and then the leap definition is defined here. This statement will be executed. That means the corresponding year is a leap year. So if we give any other year which is not a leap year, then this statement will be executed and then it will go to this particular label and the statement which is defined after the label, so that will be executed. Suppose if you run the program and if you enter the year as 2023, so you can see here, so it will go to, the control is transferred here. Initially it will be, the statements will be executed sequentially. So whenever this condition becomes false, so therefore it is this statement will be executed So label for this is year, and this label is defined as, so inside this label we have one statement, the corresponding year is not a leap year. So therefore 2023 is not a leap year. So in this way we have seen the use of the break statement, then continue statement and go to statements in C programming language. So these are the different unconditional control structures. So we have seen the programs. Now in the next video lecture we'll see some more topics of C programming language. Until then, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.